Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. Got a big show lined up. Get started out with weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center, corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. High today, we're looking at a 73 and a low tonight, 59. A little bit cooler. Water temperature is going down to 72 degrees. So it's going to be a 50% chance of rain today. And man, we have had some kind of rain. But always remember, there's always an upside of this rain. I always say April showers brings May flowers. And also a good saying, the April monsoons bring out the raccoons. And it does out that low, all those sloughs and all the river readings shows all the high water. That's bringing out those animals. It's bringing out the gators. It's bringing out the coons. It's bringing out all the animals. The snakes too. So be careful when you get back to the river. It's going to be high there. Let's take a look at our river readings. The river readings, well, they're just sky high. We're looking at a 16.3 and it's climbing. It's going to. We just had a lot of rain when they've got the gates open, but it's a lot of rain on the big river. Okay, now let's go to the Choctawhatchee at Caryville. It's going up real fast. It's reading this morning a 10.9, right at 11 foot, and it's going on up to 12 by the weekend. And listen, this rain and all is supposed to get on out of here by the weekend, so we should have some good weather by then. Okay, let's take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Okay, now their motto is when carrying counts. Today is May 1st, the first day of April. We're looking at a really strong tide. High tide this morning right around noon at 11:24 and a low tide at 10:13. So we're looking at a good 2 foot range. Tide's good all the way through the weekend. On in the next week, in fact, the whole month of May, the tide looks really strong. We're getting in those late spring tides and some really good stuff there. The marine forecast is coming out of the southeast at, let me see, I'm sorry, it's coming out of northwest at 5 to 10. Have it right here. All right, now, once a week, usually on Wednesday or Thursday morning, I like to call Captain Blair Morgan, representing Blue Water Outriggers down at Port St. Joe, your full tackle and hunting headquarters at Blue Water. And Blair's on top of everything down there. If he's not fishing, he's talking to people who are fishing and doing outdoor stuff. So, good morning, Blair.
Good morning, Winston. How are you?
I'm doing well, buddy. Tell me what's going on down there other than a lot of water.
Well, it's funny you talking about coons. I put some garbage out beside my door, up at the top of my steps yesterday afternoon late. About 3 o'clock this morning, I heard a bunch of racket, something banging around. I said, well, that's not the wind. I don't know what that is. I came down here, and there was 2 big old coons in the trash right here at my side door. Had my lights on and everything else. I mean, they were big. One of them, I kind of had a trap when I opened the door. One of them stepped on my foot when he come by me.
Well, really in old days we talk about like when our granddads, both our granddads, this is when they would actually trap those raccoons when they came out of the rivers like this, came up out of the sloughs. They would trap some big coons.
Yeah, well, these were 2 big ones, but anyway, they got my garbage carried and made a mess. But fishing-wise, last weekend was an absolutely beautiful weekend, especially Saturday. I mean, there was no wind and the seas were 1 foot or less. The Indian Pass Boat Ramp was absolutely full of boat trailers. Everybody was out, I guess, running the boats and whatnot, checking the holes, getting ready for snapper season. Of course, there's plenty of snapper out there this year, what everybody's telling me. So, again.
Yeah.
And they're all big ones. So.
Now you're talking about, Blair, let me interrupt you there. Are you talking about in the state waters, just plenty of snapper out in federal waters?
Well, over here it's hard to get anything in state waters. They're right on the edge of it.
Right.
We don't have any artificial reefs or anything over here. Really, the normal rock piles are out kind of on the borderline between the state and federal waters. But anyway, there's plenty of snapper out there. And talked to some people fishing off the beach Sunday. And they were catching a bunch of pompano down there about the Trading Post store out there on the Cape side.
Yes.
They had some live sand fleas, and they were just catching them right and left.
Well, that's a good report. I got a report similar to that on the same day down at the state park. So they must have been about some nice pompano. They must have been stretched all the way down the Cape.
Yeah, they're running. Of course, now, this week we're getting all this bad weather and rain, so that'll mess that up probably for a little while. So.
Yeah. And St. Joe Bay, probably pretty messed up right now, isn't it?
Yeah, St. Joe Bay, there was a lot of people out on the bay this weekend, and they're catching some trout and redfish, not a whole lot right now, but, it's all this fresh water coming out of the woods is just kind of really turning the bay kind of coffee color.
Yeah. Well, okay, Blair, that's a good report, buddy.
All right, well, we'll talk to you next week.
Hope to see you soon. All right, see you later. All right, Captain Blair Morgan representing Blue Water Outriggers of Port St. Joe's. Let's take this break. We'll be right back with our special guest. Hi, welcome back, folks, and welcome my special guest, Johnny Conrad.
How you doing, Winston?
Glad to have Johnny here. We've known each other a very long time. Johnny is now a retired teacher, a lot smarter than me, but we started teaching about the same time.
Yep.
Back in the days
1971.
Rutherford days, and we started. You were interning. I was my first year out of college. And
right.
We really had a good time over there. Tell us a little bit about your past as far as your teaching and all.
Well, I started out teaching at Everett. Taught at Everett Junior High, and then I went to Weehawken. Taught at the high school over there for 2 years, and transferred to Rosenwald. Stayed there for 13 years and transferred to Mowat, and I finished up my teaching career at Mowat. 20 years.
Yeah.
So
20 years at Mowat, yeah.
Yep, I had 39 and a half years teaching.
All right.
Total.
So you had, and Rhonda, your wife Rhonda, is up at Bozeman.
She's a counselor at Bozeman, right?
Miss Conrad up at Bozeman. We have some Bozeman families that watch this show, I know.
Right.
So, and you live up there at White Western.
White Western Lake.
And I get some pictures every now and then from you. And also, we've had some pictures we're going to show, but Johnny's on here. We're going to talk about a lot of different things and all. But one of the things, y'all go to the state park a lot. I'm going to show you some pictures of Johnny and his family. Just you and Rhonda on this trip right here.
Yeah.
Tell us about these pictures.
We stay out the park a couple of times a year in our camper, and that deer right there seems to follow us around.
He knows you're coming to town, okay?
But he's real friendly. There's another deer. It's not the same one.
Mm-hmm.
He's got both his eye guards left.
Okay. And then now this is your son, Johnny.
Yeah, we were doing a dove shoot at Craig Bullock's house, and this little spike was interfering with my son, Johnny. He's trying to hunt, and the deer won't leave him alone, so he's sniffing the gun barrel.
That's a good picture. And one more picture out of the state park.
This was a picture of the three-legged alligator that someone killed a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And I think his name was Albert, maybe? No, that's the gator.
Anyway,
that's the Florida gator.
That's right. And you did go to Florida.
I did. Yeah. I went to Florida for 2 quarters.
And your dad, tell about your dad and uncle, the Conrad family. They've been here a long time.
Well, my dad actually is a Florida State graduate. He was on the first football team at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And the story there is all these veterans returning from World War II, they all crowded the Florida campus, and so they sent a bunch of them to Florida State.
Especially guys who lived up in this part of the state.
They had so many, they had to, they used the overflow at what then was the Florida State School for Women. Mm-hmm. And the next year, the Florida legislature established Florida State University. Mm-hmm. But that year, they had all these guys up there. They said, well, let's put the football team together. We have all these guys. So he was on the first football and baseball team. Yeah. He was a catcher, and he was on the first team. He's always being honored at Tallahassee when they bring back the old timers.
And the Conrad family, your uncle was also tax.
My uncle Gerald was tax assessor.
Conrad, y'all remember him?
He actually played football for the University of Georgia. Yeah. And then his career got interrupted when he had to go after World War II. He was a Marine.
Yeah, it's a good background there.
Anyway,
you have 4 kids. They're all grown now, but came through Mosley, and
all of them came through Mosley.
Had them been out in the way and all. They're doing well.
2 girls have got 2 granddaughters each.
Okay.
Kelly is a teacher at Surfside Middle School. Casey is a rad tech. My son Johnny works for the Bay County. Mm-hmm. He's works in the road department, and my son Chris is a surgical nurse in Austin, Texas.
Austin,
he's
Texas.
He's in one of the surgeries in a big hospital up there.
All right. Now you got Johnny's background. We're going to take a break now. He's going to tell us a story. We talked about, several, a little while back, we had a story on here about a guy just amazingly falling into the water and getting back out, and that was Ken Taylor. That's what you remember the interview, and that sort of stimulated. A lot of people talked about that situation there. So let's take this break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So here with my buddy Johnny Conrad. Before we get back to Johnny's story, let's look at this announcement. Just got this fact in. This comes this weekend now, Saturday, May 3rd, Kids Fishing Workshop. Pre-registration has already started. It'll be from 7 to noon over here at the Life Management Center. They have this every year, do a great job with it as part of that Hooked on Fishing program. The Life Management Center is right 525 East 15th Street. It says the old Guff Drive-In. I don't know how many of y'all folks remember the old Guff Drive-In. John and I do, but if you're new in town, it's right there, East 15th Street, about 5 blocks off of Harrison there. And a great opportunity to go, and it should be a really nice weekend. Kids fishing, and get the details from the Life Management Center, and take a kid. It don't have to be your kid. Take a kid down the street, or take your grandkid and nieces and nephews, but take some kids fishing. A great opportunity right there. Johnny, we're going to talk about, like I say, we had Ken Taylor on the interview, and he fell in the water a couple of back in January. It was really, really cold. Fell in the water.
Right.
He's in his 70s and got back out of there. He was 12 miles from landing, and
that's tough.
Remarkable story. And that's what got us talking about this, and we're in close encounters, if you would, in outdoors. And Johnny emailed me some stories. I said, Johnny, you got to come on the show and tell this story. So let's tell this story about this.
I call it surviving my own stupidity, Winston, because it was something I did, I brought on myself or whatever. But anyway, back in the 1990s, I had a nice bass boat, a Kingfisher, and we did a lot of skiing up at White Western Lake. So we had been skiing all morning and most of the day, and the boat was almost out of gas. So I went up to Henry's old store, remember Henry's? And got 2 gas cans full of gas and went out fishing. So I was fishing around and catching bass. What I like to do is put a bunch of brim out there do live bait, and ended up running my batteries down. So my battery's dead and I'm out of gas, so I'm paddling back to the shore, and I get up there and I take my seat extension out and take my seat off, my seat extension, put the funnel in there, and proceed to fill up the back end of my boat with 10 gallons worth of gas. It was under my casting deck, not in my gas tank.
Oh.
So here I am with 10 gallons of gas in my boat. And so I'm stupid. I'm thinking, how am I going to get this gas out of here? Well, I'll just take my boat out and drain it. Okay, so I go back there and I flip the switch to raise my motor up, and thank God my batteries are dead. Because all I can think of is a little spark, and that thing would have exploded. So I proceed to try to trailer my boat back in there, and I'm able to get my boat out. So I bring it up to the edge of the shore, and I proceed to siphon the gas out back into the 2 tanks. I take the tanks and put them up out of the way, and so I can get out of there with my boat, and I proceed to run over the gas cans with my truck.
That's hard to do, all that stuff at one time.
So a lot of bad things can happen all at once. So I'm thinking, what else can happen? So I drive on across the gas cans. One of them is totally spilled, 5 gallons of gas in the sand. So I go up there and I bring a wheelbarrow down there and I scoop up all the sand into there and try to recover. So they could have exploded then.
Yeah.
Again, but so I guess God wasn't through with me yet. So
that's exactly right.
That's a story right there that you can't make up. Nobody would believe it.
Well, that's amazing that if your battery hadn't been dead, that spark would have been.
I would have.
And you're not the only person that would have put gas in the boat. Right? I hear that. It's not hard to do in those boats.
Well, I really had a hard time getting my funnel in that little bitty hole because it wasn't big enough for the gas nozzle.
Yeah.
And
that was a clue one.
I was real high. It was hot, and I guess just wasn't thinking right.
Yep. That's a good story.
Anyway, that's a crazy story, but I did survive my own stupidity.
So if y'all have any stories like that, especially, we're talking about outdoorsmen and we're so exposed to different elements and all in different situations. A lot of times, just a smart reaction sometimes is what saves us. And you know, you've been a science teacher and all, so you knew when that gas spilled out, the importance of trying to get that gas out of the sand and all that. And
Yep.
And you did all that. So
that was our spot that we put our chairs and took our
Yeah.
kids. So I was worried about that. But
Yeah.
you know, the sparking. I didn't have any. Just wasn't thinking when I turned that switch on to try to raise my motor up. That thing would have exploded if it had been hot, probably.
Well, we're going to come back before. We talked about the White Western Lake, and that's part. That's part of the Sand Hill Pond system, all the way in northern Bay County, all into Washington County. We have a great, just a whole system of what we call Sand Hill Ponds. And White Western is one of the largest and one of the prettiest. Well, they're all beautiful. They really are. But we're talking about this time last year, y'all could walk way out there because it's so shallow.
Right.
And,
for a couple of years, we were actually swimming in the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
At the center, where you would think the middle of the lake is, we were, walking around, and there's a foot deeper. To get to deeper water, you had to really go past the grass line. And
but it's filled back up now.
Now we are where we had our chairs and stuff last year. It's about 12 feet underwater.
No kidding. Now that's a testimony in itself.
So we've got a lot of rain.
It's filled in, filled in that much. About 12, 14 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a cycle.
That's
we're talking
big.
about a cycle it goes through. And you've lived there. You've had a cabin up there since the 80s, right?
Right.
So you've been watching it for 40 years.
Yep.
So.
And it's pretty much right now where we would consider normal.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's take our final break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So here with Johnny Conrad, talking about all kinds of things in outdoors, and we've still got a lot more to talk about. But first, our fish and game forecast brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. Mark is always on the ball there. Give him a call on your real estate needs, 832-6000. Our time this morning is already gone 224 to 424. And looking at this afternoon, as the weather breaks up, we're looking at 250 to 450. 250 to 450 this afternoon, ideal times. And tomorrow now will be a famous Friday fishing forecast. Got some pictures. Folks, there were fish caught this week. Believe it or not, in this weather, I'm going to show you some pictures of Kobe being caught. I'm going to show you a picture of a 31-pound trout. I'm sorry, 31-inch trout, not 31 pounds. 31-inch trout and all kind of stuff.
That was a good one.
Johnny, you mentioned a book. You have this book.
I got the book.
And do you enjoy reading it, you said? Or?
I read it all the time.
And you've had good stories in it.
Very interesting.
Yep.
There's all kinds of stuff. I love the boat building part.
Yeah.
I wish I could find some good plans on building a nice cypress boat, but the kind we used to have in the rivers.
Exactly. I know exactly kind we're talking about.
The river, the cypress would have to swell up.
Yeah.
You keep it in the water, keep it.
There might be a few old timers and still show us how. That's one thing I was running into. Most of them are dying on off now, but everybody used to build their own boats to fish the rivers and the lakes around here.
They would use cypress.
Yeah.
Because it swells up and it doesn't leak.
We're going to. We talked about yesterday. We're going to give away another tackle bag of goodies. Okay. In this bag now, we're going to draw the name. I'm going to let Johnny draw. Johnny, just hold this over there for a minute. Now this is okay. First thing here, a walk through nature. Okay, this is our own Jeff Peck, our director here at Panhandle Outdoors, made this outstanding video. That's going to be in the bag. Got some triggers, some of these crabs right here. Excellent bait for redfish. Look at here, all this. You know what that is? These gotchas. Still some Spanish out there now. Bass baits, all kind of bass baits. Aloha Y'all decal. Okay, tournament tackle, swamp frogs, some real oil, and our famous floating pliers. All that in one tackle bag. One more thing too. How about an artificial shrimp? Okay, a lot of stuff right here. So Johnny, if you'll draw us one name out of there for the lucky winner.
What if it's my name, Winston?
You know your name is in there. I think it's rigged.
Here you go.
And the winner is Ralph Turner from Youngstown.
Okay.
All right, Ralph. Good job. That's one. I think Lucretia, his wife Lucretia, won another bag. What's the chance of that happening? All right, now let's on the screen. We're going to show Johnny's retired now. In his retirement, he come up with this little DJ business. You and Rhonda, tell us about it.
Well, we do 15 or 20 gigs a year. A lot of wedding reception. We do wedding ceremonies. Christmas parties. We've done a few proms, private parties. Mostly it's wedding receptions and things like that we do. Enough to keep us busy.
That's good.
We do a pretty good little program. We're going to be doing a couple public things this month. We're going to be hosting a Cinco de Mayo party at El Jalisco restaurant. It's right down the street here at Mexican place, and then we're going to have another open thing at Chances Are Lounge May 9th. That anybody's invited to.
But your special, it seems like you get a lot of wedding receptions.
Yeah, we do a lot of wedding receptions. We travel and.
So keep them in mind.
Yeah.
Now, doing all that music, that cut into your fishing time?
Yeah, it does a little bit, you know.
Well, listen, when you retire now, you're supposed to have time to do all this stuff.
Yeah, you do. We've been catching a lot of brim at the lake.
Well, yeah, I was going to tell you, give us a White Western report now. The brim fishing been good. I've seen some pictures.
The fish up there are fat. Big bluegills, catch them on the biggest worms you can find.
Well, I was going to say, what depth are you fishing for those brim?
Some people are catching them up in the grass.
Okay.
Fishing maybe 6 or 8 feet. They're pretty deep. I don't know about fly fishing yet, but you can go out in the middle and locate them out in the middle and catch your limit.
Really?
I've caught the biggest brim I've ever caught out of that lake, big as your hand, and you fill up your live well with them.
Well, listen, do you fish late afternoon, early morning, or just when you get a chance?
Just when I get a chance.
Yeah. You haven't ever picked up? I know you've been up there a long time. You ever picked up a pattern of their biting? I know it's springtime now, so obviously everything when it's.
Well, when it warms up, you can find more of the big fish out in the middle of the lake. You have to fish with spinning reels. You throw it out there and you pick it up off the bottom a few feet, and you catch a lot of little 1 and 2 pound bass.
Okay.
And you catch big bluegills. I usually throw them all back.
Yeah.
Keep just a mess to eat, or if they swallow the hook, then I'll keep it. But otherwise, I put them all back.
Well, that sounds like fun. We'll have to go fishing together pretty soon. We got to wrap it up, buddy.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks.
Good story. Glad your battery was dead that day.
Me too.
All right, Johnny Conrad, our guest today. Folks, as always, we appreciate you watching Panhandle Outdoors, and you have a great day. Always do something good for someone during the day. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.